Hey, my name is Matt. This is Ranking Tactics, and do I have something special for you today? This is one of our Q&A videos where I take your questions and answer them on video. And in answering this question, I think I uncovered a gold mine of a niche that is just ripe for the picking. Very, very high dollar items and a lot of keyword opportunities for this niche. This is obviously as is. I'm not making any promises, but if I had extra time, I would probably pursue this niche right now. So this question, and if you have questions, you can join the Phrase Insider group. It's completely free. And I made a post on there a couple weeks ago, and I'm just kind of going down the list with people's questions regarding ranking, SEO, and everything in between. This question is from Jason Chung, and he writes, in the complementary health niche, identify a common complaint, then explore the presentation, causes, complications, tips, and then research behind the use of the modality in that complaint. Jason sounds like a doctor, or that sounds like a doctor-esque question. I am not a doctor, and that sounds very difficult to do. I had to go look up what the heck complementary health niche means, because I don't even know what that means. I think it's talking about complementary medicine. Complementary medicine includes massage, meditation, biofeedback, Tai Chi, Reiki, music therapy, guided imagery, etc. So I think that's what a complementary health niche is. Now, let me cut to the chase really quickly. You can use Phrase, and I'm gonna kind of like cheat a little bit and show you ahead of time what we're gonna do in this video. This is an article about does cryoliposis work? You're like, what does that mean? I'll show you. Don't worry. But this is the golden niche right here, I think. You can put the query into Phrase, and you can go do your research, click on research, see what the SERP says about it, assuming people have written about it. And in this case, people have. Research doesn't work very well if no one's written about this subject. But you can go and, like, this is his query right here. He says, common complaint, explore presentation. I think I'm not a doctor, but I think presentation means like what the patient's complaining about. Like, what's wrong with them? Oh, in this particular situation, I have excess fat. I can't get rid of this excess fat. Causes of that, complications of this particular treatment that we're going to do, tips, and then research behind the use of the modality. The modality would be the cryoliposis for the complaint. I'm glad I'm not a doctor. So you can go into Phrase, and you can just manually look at the different headings. You can click on outline and look at the big picture outline of everything, or you can filter the headings by keyword. So as an example, search for the word work. Does cool sculpting work? Does it really work? How does it work? How does fat freezing work? Does cool sculpting actually work? So you can open these up and look at them all. And in your content brief, you can bring in all the different facts that you like. It can treat several parts of the body, usually thighs, lower back, belly, sides. So you can bring that into your outline, and you can write your article, or you can create this outline and then share it with one of your writers. So obviously you can do that with Phrase. Very easy to do that with Phrase. Question is, can you do that with AI to make it even easier? So let's investigate that. But I first want to show you how I came up with this cryoliposis and why I think this is probably a golden opportunity right here. So in this complementary medicine blog post, I was looking through the different types of complementary medicines, and I came across biofeedback. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what is out there for that. And in my searching for biofeedback, I came across this thing called cryoskin. And I'm like, well, what's cryoskin? And it basically means you're freezing fat cells. And the freezing of the fat cells causes them to die, and you get some weight loss. Look at the keyword difficulty for this stuff. This is fantastic. Some of this stuff has a lot of volume. Like, what is cryoskin? Has 480 volume to it. And this is a 13 keyword difficulty. Now, I'm an affiliate marketer, love affiliate marketing. You could easily do best cryoskin machines, because I'm going to jump ahead here and show you Amazon right here. Look at this. These are body slimming fat freezing machines. So cryoskin is basically freezing fat cells. So this is a fat freezing machine. And look at the prices here, $1,700. And I'm sure there's other companies that sell these freezing machines, and they might offer affiliate programs. But if you look at the prices here, There's a lot of money to be made. I looked at one of the articles that was ranking for CryoSkin, and then I looked at their page. They were also ranking for something called cool sculpting. It's cool sculpting is another way to say fat freezing. CryoSkin and cool sculpting are both trademarked terms for fat freezing. And the technical name for fat freezing is cryoliposis. And another way to say cryoliposis is cold sculpting. So where I'm going with all of this is there's a lot of different terms talking about the same thing. And this cryoskin, for instance, there's not a lot of difficulty for that. So you could probably rank, just be careful with that. Same goes for cold sculpting. Keyword difficulty, very, very low. But it is a branded term, so you got to be careful with that. But the fat freezing, the cold sculpting, and the cryoliposis, I believe, are not branded terms. And look at the keyword difficulty for some of this stuff. So fat freezing, look at these keyword difficulties right here. 18, 21. How much weight can you lose from cool sculpting? How long to see results from cryoliposis? So some of this stuff uses cool sculpting. You could probably substitute in the word cryoliposis. I did search on Google, and Google sees these terms as kind of synonymous. So if it does say like how long does it take for cool sculpting to show results, you could put in how long does it take for cryoliposis to show results. That would you'd probably still rank for this particular query. Does cryoskin hurt? So you could say, does cryoliposis hurt? Or does fat freezing hurt? And look at the volume for these things. How much fat does cool sculpting remove? 260 volume. And you can multiply this by 10. It could be 2,600. A lot of volume, not much difficulty. Like this is a freaking gold mine right here. Let's look at cryoliposis. These have volume, and there's almost no difficulty for these things. And if we put in, let's see, I'll try best. So what is the best cryoliposis machine? So you could write an article that says best cryoliposis machines for 2022, and then pepper that article with cold sculpting, pepper it with fat freezing, pepper it with cool sculpting, pepper it with the cryoskin, all these different words. I don't know, I haven't done enough research to see if I would call this cryoliposis or call it fat freezing or call it cold sculpting. It just depends on where the volume is on that particular word. But Google kind of sees them all synonymous, but from like a click standpoint, when you're actually ranking on Google and you want somebody to click on that particular result, some people might not know what cryoliposis is. They might be more inclined to click on a result that says fat freezing. Now, there are some articles already ranking for best fat freezing machine. So best fat, and let's turn on Mozbar right here. So this is pretty high right here. What's the best professional fat freezing machine? But this is really low. So there's high, there's low. You could definitely rank for this with a little bit of work if you wrote a really good article on this. And there was another one, I can't find it, but one of these had the long tail for home use. And I didn't see, let's try home use or home. So there's definitely volume for, I don't know if it's fat freezing or cryoliposis. One of these is best whatever machine for home use. And I'm sure if you put it in, there would not be a lot of competition. Like, look at this. This is a freaking DA7. So gold mine of a possible niche. And if you compare some of this stuff to, so this is best chainsaw, for instance. So look at the difficulty here. 67, 54, 50, 67. This is pretty hard to rank for. But when you look at fat freezing, like look at this. Super easy to rank for. Had a machine. Let's see what this is. Oh, so this is another search I did for. I searched for machine, but then I filtered by fat freezing, cool sculpting, cold sculpting, cryoliposis, cryoslim, and fat slimming. Those are the different types of words people are using. And there is a lot of opportunity here. Long story short, I think this is a pretty good opportunity. But let's go back to the question. I just kind of got sidetracked because Jason Chong wasn't necessarily asking about a niche to go into, but he kind of left the door open, a complementary health niche. Don't know really where to take that. So I found one that I would possibly write about if I wanted to get into affiliate marketing for this particular niche. And let's see if Phrase can do it. So as I explained before, we could go into the research section and assuming, let's open an outline actually. Assuming people have written about this topic, and people have, the skinny on fat freezing, Cool sculpting, risks, side effects, does it really work? Pros and cons of fat freezing cryoliposis, risks and side effects. People have definitely written about this topic, so we can use the data from the SERP to do our own research. And again, if you had the time or you had the money to pay writers, yeah, you can definitely go through here and have your writer do it, or just do it yourself and just pull stuff from here, the skinny on fat freezing. We can say, okay, I'm making some notes, paste this whole thing in. I can find stuff that I want to talk about. The other thing, and let me show you something really quick. What's really cool, and a lot of people don't know this. I'm going to release a course pretty soon on how to use phrase, and this is a pro tip. Not a lot of people know this. If you click, you close all these H headings, and you see one of the SERP results. So we're in research and we're looking at a particular SERP result. So this is from Harvard, the skinny on fat freezing, right fact. I don't think a lot of people know about this. If you click right fact, what phrase is going to do is well, let me just do it and I'll talk about it. So these headings right here, they're not headings in phrase, but they're bolded. These are not headings inside of this particular result. They could be, but they're not necessarily. Phrase actually used natural language processing to find things that would constitute questions and then try to pull what it thinks would be the answer from the SERP to that particular question. So you can do that for each of these results and find questions that make sense in your head and kind of become that authority on this particular niche. Because keyword tools are only so good, and to be the true authority, you need questions that aren't even appearing in the SERP yet, but people are still asking. And by doing this, you can. So what are the side effects of cool sculpting? What is freezing fat? What is cool sculpting? What are the benefits of cryoliposis? Does cryoliposis work? What is cryoliposis? So you can do that for each of these different SERP results and pull in these questions and add more to your research that you're either going to write by yourself, use the AI, or send to your writers. So you can, obviously you can use this research to write it all by hand. You don't really want to see me do that on video because that would be utterly boring and I don't want to do that. We're going to now see if the AI can kind of help us out a little bit. And if the AI can, that's fantastic. But if it can't, and you're really striving to be an authority on this particular niche, especially in the your money, your life area that Google's really kind of cracking down on, you want to make sure your stuff's correct. So this is an area where I might not use AI, but I think the AI can still do a pretty decent job, or at least get you started. Get you 50% of the way to that finish line. So here are some different questions that I came up with based on what Jason was asking. So in the complementary health niche, identify a common complaint. So does cryoliposis work? Then explore the presentation, causes, complications, tips, and research behind the use of the modality for the complaint. The modality is like cryoliposis. We're going to use that to reduce this fat. So a couple different, I think, relevant questions. We'll see how phrase the AI can do. If the AI doesn't work, obviously just do it by hand. That's how you should be doing it. You want to have something that's better than the competition. If the competition is just using AI and it's junk, then one-up them. So does cryoliposis work? Let's do that first. So I'll go to the AI writer, and we are going to search. Let me turn off Mozbar. That always hides the top stuff. We'll type in paragraphs from keywords. I pulled these concepts from the SERP, but also from what Jason was asking. And these particular keywords or key phrases I pulled from the research before I started the video. So does cryoliposis work? Some of the results we're talking about, it freezes fat cells. When you freeze the fat cells, they apparently die. In the liver, it will eliminate them. It's also a non-invasive procedure. So we're going to take this question and put it in as our H2. Our high-level concept is just cryoliposis. And here are the keywords. Let's run template. All right, so here's what we got. The answer to this question is yes. In fact, cryoliposis, also known as cold-induced liposis, works very well for people who have stubborn areas of fat they just can't seem to get rid of. Cryoliposis uses extreme cold temperature to freeze fat cells, causing them to break down over time. This process is called apoptosis. I don't know if it is or not. I'd probably double check that, which means cell death. Once the fat cells die, they're eliminated through the body's natural processes. So that's kind of like the the liver eliminates dead cells. It doesn't use the word liver. Sometimes it does, but at least it guided the AI to talk about that concept. While there are no long-term side effects with cryoliposis, it does take several months to achieve maximum results. Awesome. Okay, and we could even put a little call to action down here. It gave us cryoliposis.com, but we'll just leave that in there, and you can put in whatever URL you want. Who was cryoliposis for? That's the next question we have. And what I got from the SERP was excess fat and then bathing suit. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about. All right, so we have cryoliposis, also known as cold sculpting, is a non-invasive procedure that uses cold temperature to reduce localized areas of fat. The treatment is ideal for people who want to lose stubborn pockets of fat that just won't go away. So who's it for? If you have stubborn pockets of fat, then that's for you. The results are amazing. In fact, some patients have even reported losing over 10 pounds of fat in just one session. Cool. All right, that works for me. What are the complications? That's important. Before you do a procedure, you want to know what's going to happen. And from the SERP, and I think one of the results was even from the NIH, they said swellness, sensitivity, and redness. So nothing really major. This is a non-invasive procedure. Seems fairly easy. All right, fat freezing therapy is and now look at this. This is really important. I put in a synonym because that kind of helps Google a little bit. So instead of talking about cryoliposis, now it's talking about fat freezing, because we've already introduced to the reader too that this is also called fat freezing. So fat freezing therapy is a non-invasive treatment that freezes fat cells to reduce body weight. However, there are some risks. The most common is temporary swelling, which usually resolves within a week. Other side effects may include skin irritation and bruising. The patient may experience pain during the procedure. Really light complications. You're not having vomiting, you're not having diarrhea, you're not going to die. This sounds pretty good to me. Obviously, if this is the your money, your life niche, I wouldn't rely entirely on AI to write the stuff. I would definitely check with what the SERP says, and if you're really writing this kind of stuff, you want to do your research, because the last thing you would want is somebody to take one of these, take your advice and then go and do something and then have a bad outcome. You don't want that. So just be careful if you're writing about this. Real simple to have the AI write about this. I've shown you before how we can spice this up and change the title using the meta title spicer template. We could also write an introduction. I think it would be really easy to build out an article that had some good content in it and was useful. And what really blew my mind was just the different types of alternative medicine there are. Like, I have not keyword searched any of this stuff, like massage treatment, reflexology, cupping. Let's just do a quick search right now, cupping. So yeah, cupping is a really competitive niche. But if you spend some time and you research this stuff, and maybe there's a different type of cupping, maybe there's like a special form of cupping. I'm really getting interested right now. Let's see here. Very easy. I mean, there's some easy stuff. Does cupping help stretch marks? And there's 50 volume for that. And then one thing you can do if you're in the affiliate marketing niche is you can answer this particular question, then at the bottom of your article, feed the people to your main money article for like the best cupping, and I don't even know, best cupping cups to use or something like that, or best cupping providers. You can go local and start targeting locally for. So a lot of different opportunity there, I think, even though you can't really rank from like a national scale for cupping. But this cool sculpting, this cryoliposis, is cold sculpting, in fact, fat freezing, a lot of opportunity. If you liked this video, please subscribe. Please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or whatnot, please drop them in the comments. I do read each one, and I really do appreciate all your comments and all your questions. Thank you again for watching, and I can't wait until next time. Good luck with your content generation, and goodbye.